Good morning, world.
Good morning, world. Brian can't see me. No YouTuber can see me. You can't see me. Stay tuned. I'm Cedric.
And I'm Brian, and this is Cedric and Brian. Okay, on today's episode, we're going to be talking about something I literally could not care less about.
For those of you who actually care, a few days ago we had the NCAA Women's Championship game.
Wait, hold on. If I have to sit and endure this, at least sell some product. At least have people donate something.
Okay. There's a Cash App. It's right there. Right there. If you don't want us to ever talk about this type of stuff ever again, donate to the Cash App. We would appreciate you. We appreciate all of you. We also have our hats. Brian has his hat on backwards as he normally does. And on the front, it says Cedric and Brian. And on the back, there's a half face which promotes unity, which will be perfect for this episode because it seems like the sports world, a very small world indeed, has been sorely divided on this issue.
Well, they keep dividing us.
Yeah.
It's a year after year after year. Sports, which should bring us together, they just keep playing to the divide.
Well, like I said earlier, it helped with the ratings. Angel Reese, player for LSU, the Tigers, and Caitlin Clark, Iowa. They played in the NCAA Women's Championship game this past week, and there was some controversy that is based on what is known as trash talking. There are some do's and don'ts in sports.
Welcome back to the show. Time winding down before LSU wins the championship over Iowa. Angel Reese with the "You Can't See Me" celebration / taunt, made famous first by John Cena and more recently by Caitlin Clark herself.
All right, so that's what Cedric was doing at the beginning.
For those of you unaware, John Cena, a famous wrestler, and the whole actor, yes, is you can't see me, or basically you're not on my level. You can't compete with me, whatever you want to mean. It was made famous by John Cena. The young lady here, Angel Reese, decided to use that in the course of the game. Here's my beef. The media has said this is a racial thing because Caitlin Clark did the exact same thing early in the tournament to an opposing player. Here's my view on trash talking. There are certain no-nos in sports. In baseball, you don't bunt to break up a no-hitter. When you hit a home run, you don't sit there and pimp it out and stare at it as it goes soaring out of the park. You run the bases. You don't run the score up in football when the game is clearly in hand. You take a knee, you run out of bounds, whatever. You don't celebrate an empty net goal in hockey. In basketball, trash talking is part of it. It's the game inside the game, the psychological warfare. My point is, when the game ends, that's when it stops. I'm not making this a racial issue between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. I'm just talking about the concept of trash talking. If you're in the course of the game, it's a tight game, and you're talking trash, cool. Some things are off limits, whether it be family members, children, things like that. There are some no-nos even in that arena that few players will violate.
But this is not, you're acting like this is a basketball thing. This happens in every sport.
Every sport.
Every sport they trash talk.
Yeah, and when the clock hits 0, we're done. That's my whole point with this, is that if you're big and bad enough, 2 quick stories, I'll make it fast. For those of you who watched the Michael Jordan documentary, it wasn't the Michael Jordan documentary, it was the Chicago Bulls documentary featuring 90% of Michael Jordan, The Last Dance. He talks about a former player, B.J. Armstrong, who went to an opposing team, the Charlotte Hornets, and B.J. hit a big shot during their playoff series at the end of the game, and they were clearly up. And Jordan said, he looks like the Godfather. He's smoking a stogie and he's playing with a baseball bat. He goes, talking that trash when the game is over, not too respectful. I respect someone who can talk it at the beginning of the game. That's someone I respect.
And was this game over when she did this?
It was over.
Oh.
It was over.
But didn't the other girl do the same thing?
During the course of action, it wasn't all in her face. That's what I'm saying. And if the roles were reversed, if the color roles were reversed, I would be saying the exact same thing. We've all been in that situation where the game is over, you've competed hard, somebody wins, somebody loses. You get into the obligatory handshake line, good game, good game, good game, good game, go to hell, good game, good game, good game. There's always that one play that irritated you, so you got to say something special to her.
Or if it's girls basketball, you punch somebody in the face. And
you punch something in the face, and that wasn't even brought up. But to do it to that degree when the game is over, That's what I have a problem with, and I would have a problem with it if Caitlin Clark did it, just like I have a problem with Angel Reese did.
Okay, let's hear some more.
All year, I was critiqued about who I was. Nobody, the narrative, I don't fit the narrative. I don't fit in the box that y'all want me to be in. I'm too hood, I'm too ghetto. Y'all told me that all year. But when other people do it, y'all don't say nothing. So this was for the girls that look like me, that's gonna speak up on what they believe in. It's unapologetically you. And that's what I did it for tonight. This was for it was bigger than me tonight. It was bigger than me. Twitter is gonna go in a rage every time. And I mean, I'm happy. I feel like I've helped grow women's basketball this year. I'm super happy and excited.
So is this girl, other than they said she was the 4th best scorer in this game, but has she been good all year?
She's been good. She's a good player.
Okay.
I think she's going to have a career in the WNBA, whatever that means.
Okay. I just didn't know if it was somebody that was good, because I honestly, I
no one knows.
Don't know.
We have to look all this up.
I don't even know. The other girl, too, I have no idea.
Caitlin Clark is the female version of Steph Curry. I know that could be basketball blasphemy, but her shooting range, her handles, they are unparalleled in the women's sport.
Okay.
You brought up to speed now.
That's important.
Again.
But they're making... Here's what's funny is... Well, I want to hear a little bit more of this.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Well, she hit it on the head when she said, but y'all don't say anything when other people do it. Now, if Caitlin Clark hadn't done anything, and I'll get to what she's done, and, it was just nobody was taunting anybody throughout the tournament, and at the end of this game, when they're about to win the championship, if she's looking at an opponent and doing all, I would be bothered by that. I would be like, come on, act like you've been there, you're better than that. But the context is that Caitlin Clark was doing this earlier in the tournament. And we'll show it. She was, when they played Louisville, you'll see she did the you can't see me to a.
So is this what you were talking about? Caitlin Clark does it during the game?
Yeah.
And the other girl, you said the game was over already?
The game was over.
It was?
It was over.
So it was just like it was over and now she's doing it.
Now now the game is securely in hand. Now that I know the victory is mine, now I'm going to get in your face and stay in your face. That's the other thing I'm talking about. Not only am I going to get in your face, I'm going to stay in your face after the game is over. Go to your bench.
I see what you're saying. So, because at the end of the game, you like to see the coaches go and shake hands and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But during the game, they can scream and yell at each other.
Go at it.
Or like, what's it, Bobby Knight who throws things around?
Yes, Bobby Knight. Prayers to Bobby Knight. He just got out of the hospital with something.
Opponent about to walk by her during the game. And then she also told the girl, shut up, you're down 15 when the girl was talking or saying something. So Angel Reese is right. If you weren't going to be critical of Caitlin Clark when she was talking trash, then don't be critical of the black girl. I'm just going to say it. Of the black girl,
of course,
when she does the same thing. If you're going to be critical of one, be critical of the other. If you're going to let it go and praise it and it's cute and, oh, how competitive she is, look at that, then say that when the African-American girl does it too. So, I wouldn't want to see.
He's throwing two different terms in there. He said black girl, and then he said African American.
I guess he didn't read the Stanford study that shows which words are
that, like I said, in a vacuum, but in the whole context, I completely get it. So I'm fine with what Angel Reese did.
The entire reaction to this is steeped in so much sexism and racism. It's just
So now we have the apologetic white guy come on.
Yes.
This guy looks more like he should be a soccer commentator. I don't know. He looks like he'd be European soccer, not basketball.
Wow, that's profiling.
Doesn't he? To me.
Anyone ignoring it, folks being like, oh, it's different because Angel Reese was the 4th leading scorer on the team. That girl's a first-team unanimous All-American, most outstanding player. Y'all...
Who said she was the 4th?
She was in that game. She was the 4th leading scorer. Here's the deal.
Tournament MVP.
I'm going to run through 3 things quickly. First one is this. This whole weekend and the whole tournament was amazing for women's college basketball. Caitlin Clark was great for women's college basketball. Angel Reese has been great for women's college basketball. That was the best played game of this tournament, either gender. The shot making, all of it. It was outstanding. Everything was great about that this whole weekend except for the officiating in that game.
Right.
That's first of all. Second of all, the reason I said sexism is there is an element of
We don't want our female athletes to be as aggressive and swaggery as we want our male athletes to be oftentimes. Unless, of course, you're a white female athlete, in which case, even though you are the baddest son of a gun on the court, as Caitlin Clark has been all year, the media will turn you into an underdog. She ain't nobody's underdog. She's talking all the trash, and she's backing it all up. And then we get to the third point. A tale as old as time. America does not like the braggadocious, boisterous, authentically arrogant black athlete.
Nothing.
And
pause that. Hold up. Wait a minute.
Muhammad Ali, Barkley,
and
America loved that.
Oh, Muhammad Ali, that was his marketing thing. That was his shtick. Him and Howard Cosell, they formed the most incredible team of marketing ever in the history of sports. When Muhammad Ali just walked around and he was the first rapper. He was always running about how great he was, and he was dancing. He was vicarious. He's out there in people's faces and loved it.
And he knows it. He absolutely knows it. And it doesn't. It's not even race. John McEnroe. They loved those athletes because guess what? They get the clicks. And back then they got people to read.
And you brought him up, Sir Charles Barkley in basketball. There was no one more outspoken than Charles Barkley, and people loved it.
Yeah. So what's this idiot talking about? Go back to soccer, dude.
And again, I just thought about this as we were just talking about that, me being an old head. If you guys remember the name Cheryl Miller, who's probably arguably one of the greatest women's basketball players of all time, she was out there a lot. But what I would say, like, unlike Angel Reese, Cheryl Miller, when the game was over, and she, like the woman who scored 105 points in a high school basketball game, she kicked butt when she was at USC. When the buzzer hit 0 and the game was over, she went to her bench, got in line, shook hands. We'll get you next time.
Yeah.
It was done.
And people, at least in the past, people didn't like the ones who boasted after the game, like you were talking about. Like if you whined about it afterwards, or if a coach did it, they didn't get love. They got
LeBron
hate.
James, anybody?
All right. Let me see this.
whether you're a man or a woman, there are certain things that are going to set off the criticism alarms. And that is the black athlete, that it doesn't just act like, oh my God, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. The black athlete that will say, I just kicked your ass and I'm going to revel in it. And it is especially galling to folks when they're doing that to a white athlete whose ass they just kicked. And I understand there are many, many people, some of whom love this show, and to those people I apologize. They are more bothered by the discussions of race than they are by actual racism.
I go back to the clip we did with Morgan Freeman. If you want to stop racism, stop talking about it. All these guys do. And I'm so sad that they brought it into sports. And of course, it was like the whole Kaepernick era. It's already filled in politics. Now they bring it into sports. It's just like, let it go, and then it won't.
They can't let it go, Brian. It sells.
But then they act like, oh, they're all high and mighty when they're the ones perpetuating it.
Right.
This guy thinks he's like the typical white liberal token.
Right.
You know, just apologizing for everything.
Can I share one more quick story? The most beloved basketball player of all time, Michael Jordan. Mm-hmm. For those of you who watched Jordan's career, he hit what was called the shot when he was in early his career over Craig Elo. And he's pumping his fist and he's jumping up. And again, you can't hear what he's saying, but if you knew what he was saying, go home, all you MFers, go home. He was yelling that at the top of his voice, and America loved it.
You know, I love sports. I'm not a big women's basketball fan, but I hate seeing sport taken away from the sports. It's all become racial. It's just, God,
yeah.
I just get pissed off.
And to go back to my intro, I'm not making this the black girl versus the white girl. It has nothing to do with that. And I know people like Nick Wright and other commentators.
Is that his name?
Yeah, they try and make it like that because it sells. It sells. My whole thing, if anyone's watching me and calling me the sellout or the coon or whatever, this whole thing for me was the character of the game and sportsmanship. Like I said earlier, trash talking is a part of it, especially in basketball. But when the final buzzer goes off and the game is over you're done. You don't, and I can see, I have no problem with either girl doing the John Cena thing. You can't see me. 2-3 seconds, you do it, you're done. Move
During
on.
the game.
Following her around for seconds and doing it, that's pretty chicken beep.
Yeah.
It's because you didn't do that in the first quarter. Why wait until the game's in hand? Now you're going to pop your collar, and now you're going to do that.
Yeah, I get it. Plus, it starts to become too much.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, just in general, and you see some of these guys that are so animated, like in football on the sideline. It's just like, dude, all right, you jumped the shark. It was funny at first, or it was kind of, you're in the moment, but then you can tell when they're play acting.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Camera's on me.
Like John McEnroe. I mean, sure, he was emotional, but then it became just a circus. And John McEnroe would throw fits because he knew that the camera and the broadcasters loved it. So John McEnroe basically became a cartoon of himself.
Right.
Which, and some people loved it. Some people thought, especially in tennis where it was supposed to, the upper crust sport, a lot of people didn't like it back then. And he's white, as far as I remember. I know he kind of had a fro, but he was white.
Wow, he said that? All right, let's wrap it up. I know I brought this up, and it wasn't about women's sports. I'm just talking about sportsmanship. And it's sad that they made it about race.
Why do I agree to do these episodes?
Because I did the one where the woman threw her husband out because he went to Vegas, and I was completely against doing that one. So,
all right,
touche. Are we done?
We're done.
All right, you guys. Well, if you enjoyed that, make sure you like, subscribe, ring that bell.
Hold on, and don't forget to tell us never to do a story like that again in the Cash App.
And make sure you tell all those loved ones in your life, good job, good game. Until next time, if there is a next time, I'm Cedric.
And I'm Brian. We'll see you later.
See that show we did.